Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Grace Rigo. I'm a doctor of acupuncture with a private practice in San Diego, California. And I'm also an online spiritual coach, activator, and new German New Medicine practitioner. So today I'm going to be sharing a really powerful and really vulnerable story, a personal story of my journey with love, relationships, worthiness, carrying old identities of not being chosen, not being wanted, not being enough, not being worthy, not being desired. All those ugly stories that colored all my choices in my life for so long. And I'm sharing this story because as an acupuncturist and as a coach who practices integrated somatic inquiry, which is a style of somatic processing of belief systems, I see this all the time in my practice with my patients and clients, men and women. There's these deep, deep core wounds of unworthiness, of not enoughness, of undeservingness that are coloring the romantic relational landscape. And I believe there is such an issue right now of so many lonely single people looking for love, and without unraveling these core wounds, these core identities in the subconscious and the unconscious mind, and coming back into your beloved identity, how are we going to discern what's best for us when we're choosing from the version of us that feels like they're never chosen, they're never wanted? It's like as soon as someone attractive chooses you, wants you, it's like a hit of heroin to a heroin addict. It's like alcohol to an alcoholic. It's like sex to a sex addict. It's that drug that your ego is looking for to fill the void. And most of my life was me trying to fill this void of being loved by men. And I also work with couples. I forgot to mention in my little intro there that I'm also a couples coach. I've recently expanded into working with couples, and that's been a beautiful journey because when I work with people one-on-one, we go deep into the relational landscape of their lives. And so in every way, whether I'm working with a couple or working with a single, I'm helping heal relationships. And all of our trauma starts in relationships, so all of our healing must happen in relationships as well, whether it's your relationship to your acupuncturist or your coach, or if it's your relationship to yourself or your relationship to God or your relationship to the next partner that's going to come into your life. Our healing must be relational. We can't just heal floating on an island all by ourselves. Certainly we can achieve some enlightened states, but to really live a life where you are embodying that healing, you need to bring it into your relationships, you need to bring it into your community, you need to bring it into your home. So I want to tell this story. Actually, I don't want to tell this story. I've been instructed by spirit, by God. I talk to God every single day, and I've been instructed internally to share this story right now. And interestingly, I don't feel very good right now. I actually feel kind of off today. I've been feeling really tired. Like personally, I would like to just go lay on my bed and read a book, chill out, go on my phone, whatever. Like I don't really want to be sitting here sharing this. But sometimes when I'm a little bit out of it, when I'm feeling a little bit off, when I'm feeling kind of spacey like I have today, sometimes I have somehow like a deeper access to my intuition. And so perhaps I've been guided to tell this story right now because something powerful can come through. And that's my prayer for this transmission, is that this story that has been so life-changing in my life, like literally reconfigured my entire psyche going through this. And all of my relational templates are different now. My prayer is that like God uses me as a vessel for his works, that God comes through me right now, that spirit channels through me, that there's something, that the way I tell this story is void of ego and full of love, and is simply an offering from the heart of something that happened to me that I believe is possible for all of us, and hopefully provides some kind of shortcut for other women and men who are struggling with their kind of worthiness, especially romantically, and can just provide like a beacon of hope or a lighthouse or a North Star of what's possible. And this is coming from someone who, this is my greatest wound, is in romantic relationships. That's like all my like deepest shadow work and my hardest lessons. You know, I've never really had huge issues with friends. I have the best, most awesome, easygoing, open-minded, open-hearted friends in the whole universe. I have a really strong connection to my family at this point in my life. My brother's my best friend. I live in my purpose for sure when it comes to my work. So where God tests me to the max is in the zones of my health and romantic relationships. Those are my two big challenging paths that I'm here to walk. And we all have one or two or three of those like sectors of our life that just seem to test us like way more than others. And mine certainly seems to be a romantic relationship as the primary. So as a beacon of hope, as a North Star offering, I'm going to tell my story of how I went from basically believing I'm worthless, undeserving, not enough, and never chosen in relationship to actually facing that deepest fear of mine that I would never be chosen, never have a family, never have the soulmate that I've been like excited about since I was 7 years old. Facing that fear head on on the island of Bali, actually on the island of Gili, I think it was Gili Air, if you know where that is. It's a small island off of Bali in Indonesia. How I went on this wild journey in Bali to excavate these deep unconscious wounds and subconscious identities and fully transmute them to where now I do not carry any craving whatsoever in my heart for like being chosen or being wanted by a man, being like, I have the regular, natural, biological desire to meet my person and have a beautiful life and a family. But that craving, the addicted part of me, the part of me that was the heroin addict inside, that, you know, like being chosen by men, attractive men that I'm interested in, being chosen by those men, like literally was a drug for me in the past. That's gone. The addiction, the craving is gone. I'm just experiencing like the natural desire for a partnership, but no longer the intensity of the egoic craving, the egoic wanting that leads you down really dark alleys when you let the ego take the wheel. So here's my story. I grew up as a really kind of tomboy, tomgirl, whatever. I loved to always play sports with the boys. I would compete with the best boys in school at wall ball and tetherball and like kick their asses and rub it in their face. And then I was, you know, a varsity swimmer and water polo player, like right from freshman year of high school. I'm on the varsity swim team, the varsity water polo team. I'm like team captain, one of the fastest girls. And then I'm the best player on the water polo team in high school. And then I'm recruited to UCLA and I get a scholarship and I play with Olympians at UCLA for 5 years on the water polo team there. Devoted my life to that sport basically up until 23 years old. And I played with the boys team in high school and I was the jock athlete in college. And that made me into a really badass warrior type woman, which I super fucking love and respect about myself. But it was not conducive for my feminine radiance and it was not conducive for getting the masculine men that I was into to be into me, because now that I do a lot of work with the masculine feminine biological polarity with my clients, I understand that a really masculine athletic man is not necessarily interested in the girl who's competing with them all the time athletically. So I went through high school feeling like, you know, the guys on the swim team or water polo team that I thought were cute, like didn't choose me, didn't like me. And later I found out that they did have crushes on me and they found me really intimidating and whatever. But my story was no one likes me. No one asks me to prom. Like these guys like seem scared of me or like, why don't they like me? Like I'm so competitive with them. I love to like play against them and like I can hang with them. Like, don't they love that? And I was not chosen by these guys. Like, they would go for like much more like dainty girls in high school, and then the the hot college water polo guys that I wanted to date would date the cheerleaders or the sorority girls. And me and my teammates would be like, what the heck? Like, we live your lifestyle. We play water polo like you. Like, don't you think we're the coolest? And, you know, biologically, those men are like, no thanks, for the most part. Like, you know, you're a little too in your masculine for me. And that's not personal, but it's just the energy we were carrying as super stud athletes. And that this is not like disqualifying. There's people that like married like members of the men's water polo team who are on my team, and they're still married and they have children and they're so happy. So like none of this is a rule. I'm just saying generally biologically, women that live more masculine oriented lives are going to attract like more passive men. So then it would be like the really nerdy guys in my classes that would ask me out in college, and I'd be like, no offense, but like, no, not you. I want the big athlete guys. And like it, you know, so I had this whole story that I never had a boyfriend all the way through high school, all the way through college. And I had my first boyfriend at the very end of college. But in my head, I still had this idea that like, I wanted to be with like the big super jock athlete guy. And even though I had a great boyfriend at the end of college, like really, really wonderful person, bless his heart, like I still had that intense craving for like the big strapping water polo guy to like come into my life and choose me, which would like rectify all the other water polo guys not choosing me. So after college, I meet this Australian water polo player, and within a few months of meeting him, we're married. Which is not something I ever thought I would do. I was a very level-headed girl my whole life up until this point. But to stay in the country, we decided to get married. And so I married this Australian, and I, now looking back, realize that it was this egoic part of me that believed I'm not worthy, I'm not chosen, I'm never wanted by the guys that I really, really want, like the super like strapping big water polo guys. And he was this big strapping like farm boy from Australia who played water polo, who like looked like Channing Tatum. And that was like my dream crush, and decided to go all in because of the part of me that like wanted to feel wanted and needed to feel chosen, that like craving addicted part of me needing to feel chosen by the person who I think, and I've kind of cracked the code that for my clients, for patients, for myself, for all of us, we feel that if the person that we think is enough wants us, then by proxy, we're enough. And we're all chasing enoughness. We're all chasing our worthiness. So it's like there's this interesting illusion we're all living that, oh, if the person that I look at and say, oh, that guy's enough, like that guy's worthy, you know, whether it's his body, you know, the things he does in the world, it's like that guy is worthy, that guy's enough. And if he chooses me, like literally by him choosing me, by the person I'm projecting onto enoughness, like by them choosing me, then I'm enough. And so it's not like it's any guy choosing a girl that's going to make her feel like, oh, I'm enough, you know, because, you know, women, if you're watching, you know, when the guy you're not interested in is super into you, like it doesn't add to your worthiness bucket. But if the guy that you find ultra worthy likes you, it's like literally, you know, you're like a kid in a candy store. You're like totally sugar addicted in that moment. So that was a really tumultuous 2.5-year plus relationship ending in divorce in 2021. And that is like not a story I need to go into. I don't want to spill the details on my intimate relationships too much here. Like that's not fair to them and it doesn't matter to the story. But what matters to the story is that you know that I went into that and I rushed a relationship that I should never have rushed like that before getting to know him better. Like I really, really went in so hard because I really felt like, you know, and I didn't know this at the time. This is a 23-year-old brain at the time. But looking back and all the work I've done, I see that that was just a version of me who so badly wanted to be chosen by the very man that I chose. And I, you know, my ego got what it wanted. the water polo guy, the big strapping foreign guy, is into me, wants me. Like that is literally the pinnacle of what the ego is craving and wanting for itself. But when you like reach the pinnacle of what the ego wants, you're usually like in the complete opposite pole of what the soul wants. So my soul, wanted to be in a relationship that was extremely safe and warm and open and loving and trusting. But my ego landed me in a relationship that was quite the opposite of that, because it perceived that the scratch would be itched, or the craving would be quelled by getting to be chosen by that guy. You see what I'm saying? I think the point is, I tend to like be a bit of an over-explainer. I'm like a bit of a verbose storyteller, but I'm like, I don't have an audience, but I'm going to assume that those of you watching this, you get the gist. So that was that relationship, and that blew up in my face. And then I went on a really long journey of kind of like individuating from my parents, like really looking at those relationships and healing those relationships within myself. Dark night of the soul, multiple years of chronic fatigue, depression, apathy, migraines, every kind of horrible symptom and mental issue, like for multiple years. Got myself through grad school, ended up continuing to let my ego drive the car for the beginning year or two of my spiritual awakening, dark night of the soul. And in my really, really low place, again, I'm not here to like spill all my details of my life. It's not relevant, but let's just say I made a bunch of decisions that I would never make now when it comes to having sex with men and dating casually. And yeah, that's some of the darkest times for me, because I think it's not, from where I stand now as a counselor and an acupuncturist, that is some of the most damaging behavior for any woman, to just be so casual with herself. And that was a really, really dark time for sure for me. So that, put salt in the wound of the divorce for sure, to just continue to, again, like I said, when the ego's driving the car and when the ego continues to chase the craving and chase the thing that it thinks will fill the void, you're going to run yourself so far into the ground, and you are going in the clock opposite direction of your soul pretty much every time. So the last, what year is it? The last 3 years has been a reclaiming of my worth, a reclaiming of my womb, a reclaiming of my identity, and an alchemizing of my identities as well. And so since that time period, I have been slowly on the build of my health, of my self-worth, of my looking into my shadow and integrating those aspects. Like, this inner work journey has been really, really intense since 2022, I would say. I mean, I kind of all started in 2020 with the whole COVID craziness, but it's been a really, really wild 5 years. And that middle chunk was like the dark night of the soul. And then I feel like 2022, 2023, for sure 2023 was really awful, and like the health issues were really intense, but I was really starting to like reclaim like my inner value as a woman. And then I got into a really healthy relationship in 2024 after deciding to go sober, literally 10 days. And let me just tell you, ladies and gents, when you start to make really strong agreements with God and with life and with yourself, around commitments you're going to make to yourself, to your own inner value and worth, as soon as you announce those commitments and you firmly state those commitments to God, to life, to yourself, you will start to see changes very, very radically. It's when we're kind of waffling in the middle in no man's land in the gray area that we can get stuck for a really long time like I did. So don't make the same mistake as me. I'm going to give you a shortcut. Announce to God, announce to life, announce to yourself, and make it very, very like clear, like write it in a journal, or, create a ceremony around it. Tell everybody about it, like announce this, announce the commitment you're going to make to your inner value and worth, and see what happens next. So for example, on September 30th, 2020, what year? 2020. I want to say 2020, 2023. When did I meet my beautiful ex-partner, Tim? Might have been 2023. Wow. I mean, we dated a year and a half, so it's 2025, so that makes sense, right? 2023. So September 30th of 2023. Yeah, that's right. That's right. September 30th, I sit down with myself in my room and I take out my journal and I write down, that's enough. No man, no drug, no experience will be prioritized over my health and well-being. I now reclaim my full worth, my full value, and I will never pedestalize anything above like what's truly good for me. So I wrote a whole lot else, but basically that launched me into a sober year where I didn't take a single substance, I didn't drink a sip of alcohol, and I just pulled myself back from any kind of addictive behaviors that I might have been in the past. And 10 days after I wrote that in my journal and made that commitment to myself that I did not break for 14 months, I went over a year. I met my beautiful recent partner who we ended things this past April 2025, but spent the most beautiful year and a half with the most beautiful person. Just nothing bad about it, really. We're just not compatible, and there's nothing like personal or terrible about that. Like, it just is what it is, and it's so beautiful. Like, the time we shared, we both reflect on it with beauty and with honor. So that relationship really, really healed so much in me, and that's what I'm talking about when I say so much of our wounding and our trauma is healed relationally. So when you are in a very conscious, like openly communicative, both doing the inner work kind of relationship, so much gets healed automatically, without much conscious awareness. You're just literally reclaiming so much of your sovereignty and your inner value just by that person's reflection of your goodness. So I really was reflected my goodness and my purity in that relationship, and it is forever etched into my heart how much that means to me and what that did for me. So God bless Tim and that relationship. But it was after that relationship that I assumed that because I had been in a healthy relationship, my inner little ego schmeagle, I call it my schmeagle because because it's like this like addicted, craving part of me that's like looking for my precious. So just to bring a little humor to this long video, I called that part of me that was like craving for a man and like craving for my soulmate and like needing to be wanted by someone that I wanted and needing to be chosen and really coming from lack. I call that part of me that's trying to fill the void my inner Schmeagle. So my inner Schmeagle, my inner Gollum, was driving the car for a little bit, and I assumed that after getting out of a really conscious relationship that Schmeagle would be dead, that I would look inside my skeleton closet and Schmeagle would have been killed long ago in that relationship. Not so fast. That relationship was while it was so healing, it also was a placeholder because it's like, okay, I'm chosen by this great guy. So that kind of placates the part of me that feels not chosen, not enough, and not worthy. But when that person's gone, I still have to clean up the remnants of those identities that have not fully been seen within myself, alchemized and transmuted through my like conscious sitting with those identities, really sitting with myself, really facing those fears, if you will. So my inner Schmeagle reared its ugly head after that relationship, and I, like, a few weeks after that relationship, I was like back on the dating apps, and I met my ex on the dating app Hinge. So I'm like, okay, like there's great guys out there, and I am back on the dating app, and I'm trying to talk to people, but God's voice in my head is very clear since I've been sitting with God for years now, every day. And like God was in my head being like, hey, your guy's not here on the apps. And by the way, like, get off them. Like, this is not feeding your spirit. Like, you're just feeding your ego, and you can certainly choose to do that. I'm just letting you know that I'm not blessing this. But I'm really stubborn. So I stayed on the app, even though God, gave me very clear understanding that is not what my spirit wanted. I was going in the opposite direction, as I have many a time, towards my ego's craving. And I was like addicted to swiping, addicted to looking at men's faces, like addicted to just trying to get a new placeholder for my worthiness in a man. And after being on the apps for a little while, and usually, I mean, not to toot my horn at all, but in the past, when I go on the dating apps, and I think most women have this experience, like there's a lot of matches, there's a lot of conversations, there's a lot of like momentum. This time, like, you know, after my breakup recently, when I went on the apps in like May or something, or late April, it was like I struck out so hard. Like any guy I was interested in, like, did not match me back. And like, there was just nothing happening. There was nothing good. There was no momentum. And so I was like, all right, God, like, I know this isn't about my worthiness. Like, my ego would say, look, here's more evidence that you're so unworthy and so not chosen. You're not even chosen by the guys on this app. But I've done enough work, and I literally lead clients through this very identity work that I needed myself. So I was like, I know that that's not true. I'm going to do inquiry on myself and acknowledge that there's no validity to the fact that, you know, I'm not matching with men on here because I'm not worthy, because I'm never chosen, because no one desires me, because I'm not wanted. Like, that's literally not true. I have not only so much evidence of my past that I've had, you know, I've been in love with beautiful men who have chosen me, but also, you know, my worth stems from my beloved identity in God and Christ. And now that I fully anchored that in, which has been a huge part of my journey, and that should really be a separate video, I don't fall for these egoic lies anymore that tell me that here's, you know, looking for material evidence of my worth. Oh, see, look, no matches with anyone you like. You're not worthy. You're not chosen. And of course there were whispers of that, but my deeper self kept reminding me, that's not true. That's not true. Like, you don't need to believe that story. But you do need to remember that God told you not to go on the apps right now, and that your man is not here. So then I sat with God, and he was just like, he's literally just not going to be on the app. You're going to meet him in the wild. I'm telling you. That's the promise I got from God about my, you know, future soulmate. So I deleted all my accounts, deleted every single app, and I will not be going back on an app. So I'm sitting on God's word that it's going to happen. I'm standing on the word, if you will, that it's going to happen in the wild. And I'm just, yeah, I'm off the apps. They're not good for me. They're definitely an egoic addiction when I'm on them. And so I deleted them. And then I had this solo trip to Bali planned in May. And I was like, okay, perfect. I've kicked my addiction to these dating apps. I don't want to date anyone. My heart's not even remotely healed from this big breakup in April. What am I doing? I just need to be alone. I can't wait for my solo trip where I'm going to be so alone in Bali, healing my heart. And I actually asked life, I asked God to help me heal this part of me. I had literally done sessions with my mentor, Brandon, before Bali, talking about how I am determined to heal my inner Schmeagol. The voice in my head telling me I'm not chosen, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not desired, I'm not wanted. Like, that was my work with my mentor to dissolve those identities. That's the work that I now do with clients. And I asked God, like, help me with this. You know, I deleted the apps in your name. Thank you, God. I deleted the apps. Now take me to Bali and help me, like, fully heal this voice of Schmeagol telling me that I'm never enough and I'll never be chosen. And underneath all of those identities, for me, and everyone has their own worst fear, but my worst fear is that, because I'm on such a spiritual path, and it's been so obvious to me for a long time that I'm on a really, like, different black sheep spiritual path, that because of my spiritual path, like, certain things will be required of me and asked of me by life and by God that will necessitate me to, like, never settle down, and I won't have a soulmate, I won't have a partner, and I won't have a family. And I, like, really deeply want, not like a craving, I just, like, deeply, my spirit, my soul deeply does desire from a healthy place, partnership and family and children. and like a beautiful home life. Like there's nothing more sacred to me than the idea of a healthy family and creating our own traditions and rituals and like blessing my children with, you know, the work I've done on myself and helping and like raising them to have such beautiful beliefs about themselves. And my parents did a great job raising me. And I just feel this sense of duty and honor to like raise my children well with a beautiful husband. And like, that's something that just matters so much to me. And that's something that the feminine part of me is so craving to experience in this life. And again, not like an egoic craving, but more of like this soul desire that's just really, but like from a healthy place. Like this is a healthy desire. This is a healthy want. So my biggest fear is that like I'm going to be forgotten by God, and this like desire to meet a soulmate and to be a mom and to have a family that I've felt for a long time is just like not going to happen. And I just have to suck it up and be okay with being a rogue solo spiritual teacher who helps the humans and treats my clients and patients and like gives back to the community in all the ways I can, but like goes home alone. So that's my biggest fear. And I'm asking God to help me with the identities associated with that fear, which are I'm not wanted, I'm not chosen. So I go to Bali and I am flying high on life. Like even the 14-hour plane ride over there in economy, I was like, this is fantastic. Oh my gosh, the disgusting muffin that the flight attendant brought me tasted delicious. Like this airplane like coffee is phenomenal. This seat is more comfortable than I could have imagined. Like you couldn't take me off my high horse of how freaking happy I was to go on this solo trip for anything. So I get to Bali, and even though I'm up till 3 a.m. that first night in a really hilarious situation, which I won't tell the story here, but it's a really funny story of how the person picking me up, my driver's like cab or car broke down on the highway, and I was really scared of these men on their motorbikes who were helping us. I thought they were gonna like murder or rape us or something, and like they actually were like so sweet. And the woman driving me told me, "Welcome to Bali. It's incredibly safe here. You have nothing to worry about. These strange men are gonna help us. They're not gonna hurt us. Like Bali is safe. You are safe." So that was my welcome to Bali. I was up till 3 a.m. in this broken down car on the side of the road, but it was raining and I just was praying to Jesus, and I was just feeling like even this moment of like, I'm so tired after 24 hours of travel and I'm not even at my Airbnb yet and it's 3 a.m. and the car broke down. Like even that experience could not take me off my high. I was like, whatever, like God's providing and protecting us and I'm going to find my way to my Airbnb. And like, I just like, nothing's really can go wrong. And like, this is the start of a grand adventure. So like, just to paint the context that I was so high on life, you couldn't take me down. Except what can take me down from my high horse is situations with men, because those are my deepest core wounds and identity contexts, subconscious identities that are the false identities controlling me have to do with men. Like I said, my biggest test in life is the romantic sphere. So there's this guy at a coffee shop on like day 3 of my trip who's flirting with me, talking with me, and he ends up meeting me at an ecstatic dance event that night. And I thought we kind of had this flirty thing going. He took me out on his Vespa after the ecstatic dance, and I pretty much thought I was in my spiritual Lizzie McGuire movie. I was like, yeah, for sure. Like I'm literally Lizzie McGuire if that was a Eat, Pray, Love rendition of the movie. So I'm stoked. Like, you know, screw my solo trip. I want romance. Like screw this. Like, I'm going to just like do me. And I just want to be solo. And like, I'm just here to heal from my relationship and heal my wounds around relationship. I was like, once I saw, you know, my version of Paolo, who did have an accent actually, driving me around on his Vespa, I was like, screw the solo trip. I want the Lizzie McGuire romance story. Obviously, I'm going to trade that for that. So now I'm on the back of the Vespa. We go get cacao. We're chatting. He tells me he's a, you know, citizen of the world who believes there are many women for him. So that should be a red flag for a woman who's like completely only interested in monogamy and like, you know, loyal men. But of course, my inner Schmiegel is like, let's look past that. He's attractive. He's into you. He is giving you Paolo, Vespa, Lizzie McGuire vibes. Like, definitely, definitely stay interested in this guy, even though he's telling you he's a player. He's a spiritual player. So he drops me off at my place. We don't kiss or anything, which I'm proud of. And I go to bed and I'm like, I played that so cool. He's gonna totally just hit me up tomorrow. I gave him very chill, laid back, sitting in my feminine energy, not engaging too much. He's gonna totally be into me and work. And then he mentioned wanting to hang out with me 4 to 5 other times on my trip. And he was like, I'll meet you in Uluwatu and maybe I'll meet you in Canggu. And basically saying he'll travel across Bali to go where I'm going on my trip. So I'm like, okay, Paolo, you follow me. Love it. I'm so excited. Wake up the next day. There's no text. There's no DM on Instagram. There's no communication. And I'm like, okay, well, this is not how the movie is supposed to go. Yeah, Eat, Pray, Love and Lizzie McGuire, last time I checked, the guys, text them back. So I'm, kind of disturbed. But then I'm like, Grace, cool, brush it off. You don't even like this guy. This guy is there's nothing wrong with this guy. This guy's, I'm sure, a lovely man, and he's a type of healer. So he's doing good in the world. So bless his heart. But that's not my guy. My guy is just not, I'm actually not as interested in the overly spiritual men who feel like they're citizens of the world and they believe that they're going to be with many, many women in their lives. I definitely want the just sweet, masculine, rugged guy who's bring me my wife. Let's have some kids. I'm going to protect you. Let's settle down on a ranch. That's my guy. So this guy, this out there spiritual guy who moved to Bali from Romania, that's not my guy. So but my ego, even though my soul is this is a blessing in disguise. My soul knew right away. Through all the work I've done, I can hear my soul, I can hear my ego, and I can discern the two. So that is one of the biggest gifts of doing all this inner work and working with coaches, how I worked with my mentor, Brandon, is you really get clear on which voice is who, and you do this inquiry process on yourself that I teach my own clients. Really, really phenomenal and effective. So I hear my soul, my authentic self tell me, this is a blessing in disguise. This is not the guy for you. You don't want to engage with this guy. This could lead to trouble. Just let it rest. This is awesome. You had a fabulous, fun night of flirting. Move along and get back to your regularly scheduled solo programming. However, that's my soul. My ego was like, what the fuck? I played that so well, dude. How could he not text me back? I seriously played that so fucking well. I was so not overly into him and obsessive and was giving this relaxed feminine that is supposed to work and they're supposed to keep pursuing me, and then I'm supposed to be the one who feels chosen and wanted and then gets to reject him and make him feel not chosen and not wanted because I just want to project these awful identities onto somebody else because I don't want to feel not chosen and not wanted, but I'm happy to cut someone else off at the knees and make them feel that way. But in order for me to feel chosen and wanted, he needs to choose and want me. And it seems like he doesn't because he's not texting. So this means I'm just not chosen and not wanted again. And that's just like high school, and that's just like college, and that's just like all the other disappointing things of my life. So that's my ego. She's really fun. She's so much fun to live with her for 29 years, really. But my soul was so clear, this is just a blessing. This is the best thing. And now, that I'm removed from the situation, it's been a couple months since Bali, I'm totally blessing. Totally just wonderful evening to spend with that guy. I don't need anything else out of that experience. But my ego is that's an opportunity for us to feel wanted, and you missed it, and you're just not enough. You're not worthy of it. So I'm like, okay, it took me a few days in Bali where I was obsessing about this, checking my DMs. Why isn't he messaging me back? Oh my God, like I just need this dopamine hit of worthiness, because without this dopamine hit of worthiness, I just have to sit in the discomfort that maybe this identity that I'm not worthy is true. Of course, the I'm not worthy identity is connected to I'm not wanted, because if I'm not wanted, what does that mean? I'm not worthy. If I'm not chosen, what does that mean? I'm not worthy. Let me just give you a life hack. 99.999% of us are just sitting on I'm not enough or I'm not worthy, some combination of the two, and it's all the same thing. We just don't feel enough or worthy, and that underlies like pretty much the entire ego structure. So, also I'm not safe, especially for women, is a big one, but that's less relevant to this story. But that's another like really, really strong identity through all culture and all time. Anyways, back to the story. So, for 3 days, I'm like checking my phone, and this guy's name is not Paolo, but because I love the Lizzie McGuire reference, we're going to call him Paolo. Paolo is not messaging me. And he basically just like hearts a couple stories. We have like a couple more exchanges in the next couple weeks, and that's it. Kaputs. But I definitely, my ego loved to use that. My Schmiegel was using that whole thing as fuel for the I'm not wanted, I'm not worthy story. Then I'm like out at a bar, and a couple guys are flirting with me we're like at a hostel, and one guy who I'm talking to, I'm like, he's kind of cute. Doesn't get my number or anything. And then I see him at a concert like a few days later, and he's like making out with some other girl. That guy I wasn't really as into, but it still was just like another like, oh, okay, like I'm not chosen, see? And then there's this other guy there that was like really tall and really into me, and was like talking to me, like got my number, said he wanted to take me on like a hike later, like let's get together. And also like I wasn't really sure if I was into this guy, but my ego was like, it feels nice to be like chosen in a foreign country, like when you're solo, like there's something so whimsical about foreign romance. And he was from like a different country. So he gets my number, and he's like acting all like masculine, like he's gonna pursue me and reach out. He never reaches out ever. So I'm like, okay, God, this is just really interesting. Like literally, I would have been happy if I could spend 3 weeks in Bali, like, and there were no men at all. Like, I'm like, but the fact that you keep bringing these men into my field and then they're ripping them out like less than 24 hours later is just, this is just hurtful. Like, you are just tugging on all my triggers. Then what was the other interesting one? Yeah, then I met another really attractive guy from Dubai, and we're at this like ecstatic dance, and I'm like, oh, he's kind of cute. And then I end up like manifesting the situation where I'm like made friends with his female friend, and then we're all out at drinks after, and I'm like, look at this, I just manifested like time with this guy that I thought was cute on the dance floor. And he's sitting next to me, and he's asking me engaging questions, and then he asks for my number, and he's like, I'm gonna hit you up in, what was the other town? Oh God, all the Bali town names are escaping me. He's like, I'm gonna hit you up when I'm in, it's escaping me. I think it starts with an S, but like there's this beach that I went to, and he's like, I'm gonna be in that part of Bali, like I'll hit you up. And I'm like, okay, awesome. Wow, God, thanks for bringing somebody who's actually gonna follow through. Doesn't reach out. Like texts me the day after we were supposed to hang out, and was like, yo, my friends didn't want to go out, sorry, like, are you still here? And I'm like, no, I left the town, whatever, we never met up. So I'm just like, all right, that's like 4+ guys at this point in like a short amount of time that I'm like are coming in, like getting my number, hitting on me, and are like, I'll see you soon, I'll text you, let's do this, let's make this plan. And then boom, pulled right out of my field. So I'm like, I see what's happening. I was like, I see what's happening. God is testing me. I have to work through these triggers. I have to really unwind the association that men being interested in me equals my worthiness. Like, that's the story here. I have to, like, no one's going to do this fucking work for me. I can't bring these identities into my divine partnership because that's going to bring distortion. So I was like praying on my knees, like, Jesus, God, like, how do I dissolve these identities? Like, help me. I don't want to believe these lies anymore. And I don't want to attach so much value onto like male attention. Like, it's exhausting. It's not working. It's not helping. Like these lies are hurting me. So then I'm at a dinner with a beautiful Indian woman that I met under a waterfall, because that's how Bali works. You meet someone under a waterfall and now you're friends. So we're sitting at dinner and she calls her astrologer, her Vedic astrologer from India, where she's from. And this Vedic astrologer is literally giving a reading through speakerphone, and he's speaking in an Indian language, and my friend is translating. She just wants to read my chart. Like, I didn't ask for this. I did not say, hey, you're Indian. Do you know a Vedic astrologer in India? Because I'd love to have a reading. Like, nope. She just was like, I love astrology and I want to know your astrology. So like, let me call my astrologer. Oh my God, he answered. Oh my God, he's going to give you a reading right now. And I'm like, what? Like, I didn't really consent to this reading, but I also didn't like shut it down because I'm like, whatever, it's free Vedic astrology reading. Let's see. This Vedic astrologer was spot on like 10 things in a row. So I was like, this guy's good. Like, wait till he tells me about my epic love life, because everything he's telling me so far is like really resonating with what I've been through in life. So this guy's got the right chart. Then she goes, oh, okay. Yeah, he just said that you are not going to have a stable relationship and you're probably not going to have kids of your own. And you guys, it was like a cartoon where your jaw, like the cartoon like jaw, like actually hits the floor. Like I literally, and like a cartoon character whose like eyes bug out of its head. Like that, like my face must have just, I wish I had a picture of my face in that moment. Like I was so distraught and so caught off guard. Like if you know German New Medicine, that was a DHS. I literally had a conflict shock from her saying that. And I'm like, what did she just tell me? Did she just seriously, did a Vedic astrologer from across the world give me a faded reading where he is confirming my very worst fear that I'm going to be alone forever and that there is no soulmate and there is no family and there is no home for me? Like, seriously? Like, is that, like, I cannot believe that I came to Bali just to face my worst fear and realize that it's the truth over my life. Like, this Vedic astrologer must be right because astrology is very accurate and I'm going to outsource all my power to it in this moment. So spent the next 24 hours crying my eyes out and journaling and praying because I'm like, what the fuck? I was having the best time in Bali for the first couple days. Then all these men met me and flaked on me and activated my core wounds. Then a Vedic astrologer tells me that I'm never going to be married and happy with children. And I'm just like, I'm like, you can't imagine how like shaken I was by this information. I then send a voice note to a psychic healer who runs a retreat center in Bali, in Ubud. I send her this voice note and I'm like, yo, I just got this reading and I am so terrified and sad and I've been crying all day and like I would love your 2 cents because I really value your intuition. She comes back with a voice note and tells me she thinks the Vedic astrologer is correct. And I'm like, oh God, like, seriously? Like, he's correct? And she's like, I feel like you've had many lifetimes where you were like married with kids, and this lifetime you are supposed to be like myself, a spiritual traveler through life, a citizen of the world, if you will, who doesn't have kids, and you might have relationships, but they're not going to be lifelong, and you just need to embrace this path. And she's like, I woke up to the reality that I was not supposed to be married or have children when I was 30. And here I am at 29, like, I have to face this reality by 30, and I have to like be okay that my life is like devoid of marriage and children, which is my greatest like desire. I'm like, God, that sucks. Like, I came to Bali to like hear the worst news ever. Like, what is this trap? So then after her voice note, I'm like, I'm doubly fucked up because this woman's really powerful and clairvoyant, and she just told me that she thinks this is true. Then my really amazing friend Mina, who I met in Canggu, like literally the only reason I went to Canggu was to meet her, I'm convinced. She calls me and she's like, hey, I can tell you're off. What's going on? She's really intuitive. And I'm like, yo, Mina, you dear sweet soul, you are correct. I am not well. I have been spending the last 48 hours crying because there are multiple intuitives telling me, from a Vedic astrologer to the psychic friend you introduced me to, telling me that I am destined for, a barren life of no love and no kids. And she says, Grace, did you seriously just believe everything that a strange astrologer told you? And when she said those words, it was like a light bulb went off in my head, and I felt both so stupid and so happy. Like, I was like, well, when you put it like that, like, yeah, I did just believe everything that a random astrologer told me through a translator. And I did just outsource all my power to what an astrologer and a psychic, both of whom I hardly know, say about my entire life story. Like, and I'm not one to outsource with like Western astrology. Like, I'm not one who like makes business plans and lives my life in accordance to astrology. I don't know astrology that well. Like, sometimes it's fun. I'll post little things about it, but like, I don't really know what it is. And I don't really I don't put a lot of pressure on it or weight on it. So then it was kind of out of character for me to be like, okay, well now whatever this Vedic astrologer says is absolutely the fate of my life. And Mina is Christian, even though she was raised in, I believe, a Muslim family. Maybe I'm incorrect on that, but she kind of found Jesus when she was like 18, which is really powerful. And I'm really in a discovery with Jesus now. And she said, the same Holy Spirit that God bestowed on Jesus Christ is the same Holy Spirit that you have been given by God to create with, and you can create whatever life you want. You're the co-creator. You are the creator of your life, and you don't have to subscribe to what anybody tells you. She says, I have so many readings. I have so many healers telling me shit. She's like, I only buy into like 15, 20% of it. Let the rest go. Doesn't have to be your story if you don't want it to be. And it was like, and what's crazy is this is exactly what I would tell my own clients. If my client told me that their life is over because an astrologer told them something, I would be like, come on, you're the creator. You don't attach your identity to what anybody else says over you. Like, you have to have a personal relationship with God where you get the promise from God, where you self-source the inspiration of your life from God, where you are true to your heart's desires and your authentic wishes, and like, you can manifest whatever the fuck you want if you like really, really, really pray for it. So I would have said all that stuff she said to me to somebody else, but I couldn't give it to myself when I was in my Schmiegel, distraught, egoic state. So that really, really transformed me. And like, shout out to my friend Mina. What a beautiful, beautiful woman. So at that point, I'm like, all right, that made me feel so much better, but I still feel a little bit off. I'm still kind of believing this lie, even though like I'm still fearful, even though I'm not totally believing this lie anymore. And I decided I'm going to take my power back. I'm going to go to the Gili Islands for a couple of days. I'm going to swim by myself in crystal clear waters off the coast of the Gili Islands. I'm just going to relax. I get to the Gili Islands, I grab my swimsuit and my goggles. I was a swimmer growing up. So I'm like, I like to free dive. I like to swim by myself. So I jump in this like pristine water, and oh my God, like the coral, like it wasn't like I was scuba diving. So obviously I think scuba diving would be like more vibrant and beautiful, but just the snorkeling off the shore was incredible. All this vibrant coral, all these like types of fish I'd never seen before because I'd never been to Asia in my life. So this was like a whole different landscape. And I'm snorkeling, free diving, and I am like literally on cloud nine. Like I'm popping up out of the water, looking around me at these like beautiful mountains and clear blue sky and like the most, sparkling sunshine on the water. And then I'm diving under the water to like crystal clear, like warm waters full of beautiful technicolor fish and coral. And I'm just like, this is heaven. Like I like landed in heaven. Like it was so difficult to get to the Gili Islands and like take all these taxis and a boat and like schlep all my luggage on like a tiny little, I had to take a big ship, and then I had to get in one of those little like dinghy boats and schlep all my stuff. So it was like quite a trek to get to the Gili Islands. But when I did get there, I had the most magical time in the waters. and I'm literally underwater, and like, just imagine, I'm like this. I don't know why this is important, but whenever I tell this story, I do this. So I'm like this underwater, and I'm doing like the side stroke, and I'm like this looking underwater, and I swear I was in this exact position, because this, when you have a moment like this in your life, you will never forget it. You will remember how you were positioned, what you were thinking, where you were, like, just like a conflict shock or a DHS in German New Medicine, basically a traumatic, shocking moment. Just like your brain will record all those moments in great detail, I believe that when we have like a reparative moment, when we have like a moment of insight, clarity, and awakening, those are equally, like, the moments that I had big time spiritual awakening, enlightening moments, I also remember those in great detail. So this was my like sober spiritual awakening moment that I'm never going to forget. And the way I describe it is, I felt the stone drop from my soul. And I'd heard that phrase before, but I didn't really get it. And now after this experience, I'm like, I get it. It's like this heavy thing that I was carrying my entire life just dropped to the bottom of the ocean in this moment. And I'm doing the side stroke like this underwater, and it literally just hits me. It hits every single one of my cells. It hits my unconscious, my subconscious, and my conscious mind at the same time. And it's this thought: hey, Grace, this is your worst fear. And I realized that what I was doing in that moment, freediving all by myself in a foreign land, hanging out with the coolest locals, eating the best food, meeting the coolest strangers from all around the world, seeing coral and fish that were blowing my mind, and coming up and looking at the mountains, that was my worst fear. That's it. And it was this little cosmic wink, this little God wink, like, hey, what you're doing right now, swimming in this beautiful water, this is your worst fear. How does it feel? Pretty terrible, huh? Like, I felt like God was like mocking me, but it was really cute. And it was like this, like such a fast telepathic experience that, like, I can't, like, it's hard to explain. Like, if you've had this moment of like the stone dropping from your soul, and like everything's different, and literally you feel one of your deep core wounds like completely dissolve, like, then you know what I'm talking about if you've had this happen. It's so magical. Like, this is worth a lifetime of like challenge to have that one moment, truly. So what I was really receiving was your fear of being single and having to travel as like a spiritual traveler through life without your roots, without your husband, without your kids. Like, this is your worst fear. Because if you stay single, you know, if that's God's will, you will be traveling, you will be meeting the coolest people around the world, you will be having little romantic flings, you will be like tasting the best food, you will be swimming in the most beautiful waters, you will be meeting incredible healers and getting incredible healings, which I was getting in Bali as well. You'll be shopping, you'll be enjoying yourself, you'll be like having the most delicious life ever. So that's your worst fear, is right here, right now. And I realize that we can only project a fear into the future if it's something that we are not fully embracing right now. So what I mean is, if I feel unsafe right now on some level, even if it's just on a psyche level, which usually it is. So if parts of my psyche feel unsafe right now, even though I'm just sitting on my balcony, if parts of my psyche are stuck in like a story of unsafety, then I will believe that the world's unsafe. Like, I'll never be safe in the future. Like, I'm not going to be able to believe that there will be safety later if I can't believe there's safety now. Does that make sense? So the part of me that was like, I will not be chosen later, is the part of me that's like, well, I'm just not chosen now. Or the part of me that's like, I'll only be happy if I have a husband and kids, is the part of me that's like, well, it's because I'm not happy now. And the ego loves to find a reason to not be happy, to not feel safe, and to not be free. And my friend Mina, over the phone, in that same phone call we had, she said to me, she's like, is it a guarantee that if you have a husband and have kids that you'll just be blissfully happy? She's like, because what's the feeling state that you're looking for? I mean, she does a lot of Joe Dispenza, and I'm really into that work too. So I'm like, I get it. I don't really want just a husband. Like, I want the feeling of like supreme bliss, happiness, love. And she's like, is it a guarantee that a husband and children will make you blissfully happy? And I'm like, no, because I wasn't blissfully happy in my previous romantic relationships. So what guarantee do I have that just being partnered makes me blissfully happy all the time? Like, there's still baggage, there's still shit, there's still hard days, like when you're single and partnered. Like, so like, what like grand prize do I think am I going to win if I just have a lifelong partner? And she also said on that phone call, which really stuck with me, she said, your only job is to be happy moment by moment by moment in your life. And when you look back on your life and you see a collection of millions and trillions of happy moments, you will look back on a happy life. So what I had been doing up until then in my life was like not letting myself be happy in the present moment, because I was letting the ego drive the car, especially when it comes to romantic relationships, like I said. And my ego would say, but there's something happier out there, and it's called a soulmate. And that is the pinnacle of happiness, and you don't deserve it. That's the pinnacle of happiness, and you're not worth it. That's the pinnacle of happiness, and nobody wants you, so you're not going to get it. So the ego loves to find some alternate reality that's outside of the present moment that we've been blessed by God to experience. And the ego has this incredible ability to, get us to believe that there's something outside of this moment that is so much more like worth living than living this moment. Oh, life is worth living when you meet your soulmate, but this moment kind of sucks compared to that. So might as well throw in the towel. Like it's like this kind of like, just sabotage your life now, like sacrifice your authenticity just to get a guy's attention, because let me tell you, that's the only way you're going to really be happy, is if you have, the chosenness, the wantedness, the desirability. Like, that's your ticket to happiness. And I realized that I'd literally never been happier in my entire life than that moment under the water, like basically communicating with the sea life and the turtles that I was seeing, and the mountains, and like feeling blissfully connected to nature and to God. That's about as happy as I've ever been. And I was completely single and solo. And so when I realized that my worst fear was literally the life I was already living, I realized that it was my inability to embrace and accept my life now that had me feeling dissatisfied every time I wasn't chosen. Because my inability to recognize the blessing of my current reality is the reason why there may be delays in the blessing of the next reality that I might experience, which might be like relationship and marriage and kids. Like, until you fully embrace the reality you're in, God might not be willing, if you will. God might not be able to shift your reality, up-level your reality, because I believe that the only way we attract more of what we want is to kind of start wanting what we do have, if that makes sense. Like, if I can really want this, if I can love being single, let me put it this way. If I'm like so desperately trying to get out of being single because I'm so scared that I'll just have a whole life of solo travel and singleness and no partner and no family, like if I'm like, get me out of here, then I will so quickly project, are you my soulmate? Are you my soulmate? Are you my soulmate? Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? Onto like every guy I meet, and I will miss all the red flags, just like I did with my ex-husband. I'll miss all the red flags in the beginning, and I'll just jump into an early marriage, and I'll just be like, yes, I got it. And little did I know, my intuition was screaming for me to like not go in that direction. But because my egoic craving was feeling like it was about to get relief from the discomfort of the current reality that I wanted to get out of, it's going to lead me down that dark alley to where I don't really want to go, but my ego's convinced me that that's where happiness is. So I realized that the only way I'm going to ever discern like who a good partner is for me is to experience the bliss and happiness that I would want with that partner without them. So that I'm not chasing some high whenever I meet a guy and I'm like, oh, well, I felt so high from the dopamine hit of them wanting me, desiring me, choosing me. So I'm just going to like fling myself headfirst into this relationship with them because that literally felt like the drug I've been missing in this current reality. If I don't need some kind of drug to escape my singleness because I don't see my singleness as any less happy, if I don't see that there's any issue, if I don't feel that there's any void or lack in this now moment, then I'm just going to get more good stuff attracted to me from my current level of abundance and happiness and peace. So I might be beating a dead horse. I'm getting a little tired because I've been talking for over an hour. And like I said, I felt a little off today, but I hope that how I just deconstructed that is landing. I'm new to the YouTube video space, so talking to the camera and like there's no one listening. This is not like a live talk or a live audience. Also, it's like really weird to look at yourself this long. I just keep touching my hair. I hope that's landing for whoever's listening to this, but just imagine me, like just do, maybe if you do this motion, maybe if you pretend that you're doing side stroke underwater, like this will happen for you too. Like maybe this is a new somatic practice and we all just need to like pretend we're doing side stroke and this is like a new yoga pose. Like this is the position for, we're going to call this like stone dropping from soul somatic posture. Try it out. That's my trademarked pose. So that moment that the stone dropped from my soul was so transformative. I have not had a single craving to go on a dating app. I have not had any desire to really date anyone. I have not felt like my life would be better with a partner. Like everything that was coming from my egoic story that like life would be better elsewhere is gone. And I truly feel like even if there's someone I have a crush on and we're texting and we're talking and I'm into them, he could like ghost me, you know, after a day or two, or after he could ghost me after 10 weeks. Like, and I obviously would be like sad, maybe a little disappointed, you know, but it would be nothing like it used to be. Like, I just know that now I could be ghosted. I could be disappointed. And I would just be like, all right, well, like, that's not the guy for me. Like, he's just showing me who not to be with. Like, that's just helping my discernment. Like, whatever. Like, I'm still happy. I'm still good. I'm still like content with my life. And I know that God made a promise to me to bring me my soulmate. And I do see myself having children. So I'm not too concerned. But like, I'm not going to project the, are you the one onto like every single guy that I meet, because that just leads you to poor discernment, poor choices, codependency, addiction, like all the things that are not actually true love. So I have felt like a peace in my spirit around this relational craving. Like the craving is gone. The like need to be chosen is gone. Because also I was getting, this is another part of the story that I'll just quickly tell, that like throughout my journey in Bali, when I would meditate or do sound healings or go to ecstatic dance, like after these like big, like fun, spiritual kind of like moving energy experiences, I would like lay and meditate and feel the presence of God. And I would have like, God would be telling me how like I'm already chosen by my future soulmate. So ladies, hear this one. Like, you're already chosen. You're already chosen and bonded to your divine male counterpart. And whoever that person is out there. But if you meet 35 guys before you get to meet that one, and those 35 guys don't end up choosing you, it's not because you're not worthy or enough or chosen. It's literally because you've already been chosen. And so those other 35 guys, they cannot choose you because you're already literally energetically, like cellularly bonded to somebody. So there's a higher order algorithm that's keeping you from everybody else who's not it. Make sense? That goes for men too, if you just replace divine male counterpart with divine female counterpart. Obviously, you know, this video is for all genders. But yeah, so like you don't, sorry, let me just feel the spirit for a sec. Because I want to wrap up, but I want to like make sure I say what's relevant. Yes, God also told me in those moments that he has already chosen me. God has already chosen each and every one of us. That's why we're here. Hello? Like, do you know how rare it is to have a human life? Like, you know how special that is? What a gift that is? Like, you already were chosen by the greatest chooser ever. Like, the creator of life itself, the creator of everything, the creator of all that is good and beautiful, chose you to be here carrying out its divine will. So you're so special. You're so chosen. You're so beautiful. You're so rare. You're one of God's favorites. So if you can just feel that, like, does it even matter what the guy on the dance floor is like, if he's flirting with you or not? Does it even matter if the guy at the coffee shop looks at you or not? Like, let it go. You are chosen from such a higher place. And like I said earlier, you probably have a divine counterpart that has already chosen you and you've already chosen them. And it's just a timing thing at this point. So don't attach your worthiness to any of the misfires in the interim. Let me see. Oh, I don't have a hair tie. Okay, great. I'll just have to deal with looking at my hair. How do I want to wrap this up? Yes, this is how I want to wrap it up. So I saw a Hindu priest twice while I was in Bali. And this Hindu priest was so beautiful, so magnetic, so powerful. Like she basically gives like psychic readings, and she's like communicating with these like Hindu spirits in front of her. And she gives these psychic readings where she's sitting next to you and you give the offering. And if you've been to Bali, you know, like you have to give the whole official offering. You go to the temple, they do these prayers. And then the priest was like, ended up giving me like this psychic reading, like just sitting next to me. And I had my taxi driver who I'm friends with, Komang, like we're still buds on WhatsApp. I love making friends with the locals. But she's translating what the Hindu priest is saying about me. And it's just an organic reading. I had some questions, but mostly just an organic reading. And this Hindu priest, the first time I saw her, told me that she said a lot of things, and they were all really interesting, but she said that I'm going to meet my next partner in 3 to 4 months. This was in May. And I was like, you know, the first time okay, here's the context. The first time I go see her for the reading, it's before the stone dropping from soul experience in the water. So I'm still in that like craving, like I'm feeling kind of disappointed by these guys not choosing me. Like I'm, you know, it's before all that. It's before the Vedic astrologer. It's before all of that. So I'm like still kind of feeling like, ooh, I really want her to say something awesome about my love life. Hello. Because I just went through a breakup and I want to know it's going to get better. And she said, I'm going to meet someone in 3 to 4 months. And then she said something about how that person's going to like own their own company and we're going to do really similar work together. He's going to amplify my work and I'm going to amplify his work and we're going to do a lot of spiritual work together. And I was like, yay! Good answer, priest. Good answer, Gerald Manku. That is what I want to hear. So, but then when I like went to see the Vedic astrologer in the interim and had the whole other dismantling of my ego and then the ocean experience, like by the time I saw the Hindu priest the second time, I realized I forgot to ask the Hindu priest if that next partner was like a soulmate, a casual fling, because now that the Vedic astrologer has seeded in my mind that like I'm only going to have casual relationships. There's nothing long-term. There's nothing lasting for me. I'm not going to have my own kids. Like I was like, well, the priest said in my first reading, I was going to meet someone in 3 to 4 months. So when I had my second reading the day before I left Bali, I was like, you know what? Now that I've had that like stone dropping from my soul, my ego dissolution, like the craving ending, the addiction being healed, like now that I've had that profound experience in the waters of Gili Island, I was like, I don't really need to know. But I remember my sister-in-law had texted me and she was like, oh my God, the details of your reading were so interesting, but you should ask her if like that's like your husband or if it's just like the next boyfriend. And I was like, okay, that's a great point. So I asked her, I asked my translator, Komang, I was like, hey, can you ask the priest? Just curious. I know she said something about me dating someone in a few months or meeting someone. Like, what does that mean? Is that like going to be my husband? And the priest like thinks about it, is talking into the invisible space where she's communing with some glorious spirits. It was so cool. And her husband, who's also a priest, was sitting next to her and helping translate on this one too. And she comes back and she's like, now my translator tells me, she's like, yes, that is your husband. Like the next person you're dating seriously is your husband, and you'll meet him in 3 to 4 months, just like I said last time. And he will, again, be the owner of like a company, and you're going to do work together, and you're going to both do big spiritual work together. You're both going to do healing work together. And then she said, you're going to have 2 kids. And then her husband piped in and said, yes, you will most likely carry 2 children. He said, no more than that. Your womb cannot do more than that. And apparently he said he could read it from like my stomach, because he did a bunch of body work on me, her husband. And he was like, based on your stomach, I don't know what that means, but he was like, you have 2 kids only, but you will have 2 kids. And I was like, okay. So this is my last day in Bali, and I am receiving the message that I'm going to like meet my person. Oh, and then she says, by the way, when you meet this person, like the offering of a serious relationship will come pretty quickly, and you're going to be scared because you're going to feel like it's too quick. She's like, but you need to jump in because this is your chance for lifelong love. So it was really interesting because I don't know. I'm still very single right now. So I don't know, like, and I'm not really placing any real stock in this, just like I'm not going to place any real stock in the Vedic astrologer. Like, I'm taking my power back. Like I'm not letting what anyone else says about my fate like be the ruling over my life. It's all just interesting information at this point. But what she's saying is like, basically, I'm going to be the one who's going to chicken out, or I might want to chicken out in the next relationship. And like, I really shouldn't, because that's going to be the one. Anyways, the crazy thing is, you guys, if this was like I'm going to call it pre-Gili experience. The Gili experience was this, where I was like, oh my God, there's nothing scary about staying single at all. Like I'm facing my fear. I'm totally single and I'm totally happy. Before that experience, if I heard the priest tell me that my soulmate's coming in 3 to 4 months and he's going to be my husband and I'm going to have 2 kids and blah, 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 I would have been like, what? 3 to 4 months? So is it August or September? And tell me more. And like, 2 kids? Are you sure? Boy or girl? Are they healthy? Like, I would have been like, let me just write this down really quick. Like, I would have just attached so much to it and been like, thank you, priest. Thank you. Like, I needed to hear this. Like, this is the best news ever. But after the Gili Island identity healing experience, where I faced my biggest fear head on and realized that there was no fear, because the only fear is fear itself. I'm sitting with the priest, and now it's my last day, and she's telling me this information that would have just knocked my socks off a week before. And it was like the energy inside me, I kid you not, was like, who cares? I swear, I was just like, who knows and who cares? And I'm tired of psychics at this point. I mean, of all the people I met, though, she was, like, I would say objectively and subjectively, like, the most powerful. So maybe I should put a little more weight in her reading. But I'm just like, who cares? I don't know. You might be totally wrong. Everyone might be totally wrong. What matters is what's in my heart. What matters is what my friend guided me to, which is just to be happy in every single moment that I can choose to be happy. Like, that's a choice, to choose to be happy. And if you can choose to be happy moment by moment by moment, it doesn't matter what's in your moment, who's in your moment. If your moment looks like what you thought your moment would look like by the time you were 30, if you could just be happy in the moment that God is blessing you to experience right here, right now, you will look back on a life that is made up of a collection of those happy moments, and you'll say, damn, I had a happy life. And it doesn't have to go the way your ego thinks it needs to go for you to be happy. You get to choose to be happy. So then I flew home from Bali. And since that entire experience where it was like The Alchemist. It was my version of the hero's journey, The Alchemist. It was like I was the shepherd boy who, like, the treasure's right under the tree, like where I live, in my body, in my home, in my spirit, between me and God. My worthiness, my enoughness, my happiness is like right here. It's the treasure under my tree. But I had to go to Bali on a solo trip after a dramatic breakup and, like, have all these guys like ghost me, and then meet the Vedic astrologer and the priest and the psychic, and have all this conflicting information, and then meet this amazing friend Mina at a random restaurant in Canggu where we had a 4-hour dinner conversation, and then she guides me back into my authentic truth, and then I see the priest again and she's like, you will be married, and then happily ever after. Like, I had to go on the hero's journey, like the story of The Alchemist, and literally go all the way to Bali for all of these codes and activations and lessons, just to land right back here in my home in San Diego and realize the treasure was under my tree. It was where I stand. It's the happiness that I can choose now. It's the fact that there's nothing really to fear about being alone. That, like, literally bliss is something I always have access to if I'm truly willing to choose that timeline. And that is the story of how I went from being the never chosen, never wanted, I'm not enough, and I'm worthless, and only if the guy that I think is worthy chooses me will I ever be worthy, and sacrificing my authentic self for the attention of men, and getting myself into a marriage that was pretty disastrous for 3 years, with 3 breakups in that marriage, and a whole lot of other crap that I don't want to go into. Divorced by 26, and all kinds of other casual relationship experiences that I don't think too fondly of. And then a solo trip to Bali. It took all of that to bring me to this place now where I'm telling you guys, it is so liberating. And I have clients and patients I'm working with who are still seeking validation from men, who are still seeking their inner Schmiegel, their inner ego is like, no, like it's inside of a relationship with a man that I find my true enoughness, worthiness, validation, peace, home, contentment, bliss, wantedness, desirability. And, like, the truth is, you've already been chosen by God. You're wanted by God. You are beloved by God. And you are most likely already chosen by your future soulmate. And if you can just lean on that understanding that there's nothing to gain from a male partner that you can't access right here, right now with yourself and with spirit, then your discernment from that detached, relaxed place where you're not craving, you're not an addict, you're not looking for your next hit of dopamine or, you know, attention heroin. Like, you're not looking for that next hit because you're not letting Schmiegel ego drive the car. I'm going to call him Schmiego. Schmiego, like Schmiegel ego. Schmiego is not driving the car. And when you can sit back in your true authentic self, in your soul, the seat of your soul, after the stone drops from your soul, you sit back in the seat of your soul and you observe your life, and you observe the men that you're talking to, and you observe the relationships, and you have discernment. The reason why you have great girlfriends and horrible boyfriends is because you don't have that Schmiego in your head telling you, oh my God, these girls have to like you. I mean, some women do have a lot of issues with their girlfriends, and it's because they place this kind of validation pressure and egoic pressure on their girlfriends. But, like, for me, I've never really had big issues with, like, my girlfriends. I just have, like, really lovely friends. And it's because I'm sitting in my relaxed seat of my authentic self, seat of my soul, my relaxed feminine posture of, like, all right, show me if you're a good friend, and I'll show you that I'm a good friend. And if we align, let's keep hanging out. And if not, that's cool. Let's just let this go. Like, no pressure. Like, it doesn't make me more worthy if you're my friend. Like, there's been a little bit of that throughout my life, but it pales in comparison to, like, with men. It's like, oh my God, I really need you to like me, and I really need you to text me, and I really need you to hang out with me, and I really need you to choose me, and I really need you to, like, absolutely adore me, because if not, like, I'm worthless. And if I was putting that pressure on my girlfriends, those girlfriends would have left me a long time ago, because that's too much. And the reason I attract men that sort of end up disappointing me is because I'm placing so much pressure that's not only driving them away, but secondly, I'm literally choosing men that I'm not using full discernment with, because there's part of me that's like, I need you to be okay. I need you to be enough. I need you to be worthy. So even though there's red flags, I'm bypassing those in service to filling this ego craving. Whereas my soul's chilling. My soul's happy. My soul doesn't need all that. My soul just craves an intimate connection with my present reality. Ooh, that just came through my spirit. My soul is just craving an intimate connection with this now moment. And when I create this intimate connection with this now moment, I'm creating an intimate connection with life itself and with God. And that is true intimacy with myself. And that is the happiness and the bliss that I'm craving from my ego with a partner. So remember that. A lot of times, maybe every time, when you go in the direction of your egoic craving, you're running straight in the opposite direction of your soul's truest, authentic desires. And if you can create true intimacy in the now moment with yourself and with God, you will realize that all the things that you have been outsourcing onto psychics, astrologers, men, and the future have always been here, like the treasure under the tree, that you don't have to go on a world journey to find. Maybe you do. Maybe that's what God's taking you on, and I love that for you. I hope you have your own Bali experience, world travel experience. But maybe you can learn the lesson a little bit faster from me. That's a trap, waiting to fill that craving with male attention. It's a trap when you realize that your soul knows that this man is just a test and just a temporary experience. You know your soul is like, oh, it's kind of a blessing if this falls apart. Oh, it's kind of a blessing that he ghosted you. The trap is when you listen to the ego instead of that voice of your soul. And you let the ego, who still needs to hear that man say he likes you, that man text you back, that man take you on a date, that man, call you back. Like when your ego is still waiting for that man, but your soul has left him ages ago, like that's a trap. So pay really attention to the whispers of your soul versus the cravings of your ego. Your soul's not going to have super intense cravings. So if it's like a super intense craving, ding, 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 that's like intuition 101. That's your ego right there. That's your schmigo when it's an intense craving. Oh my God, I'm getting intense mosquito bites is what I'm getting. I have intense craving from my ego to itch these bites. So that is my story. 90 minutes later, I know it's such a long one, but this story is the radical transformation of my heart, a radical transformation of my life. I am currently single, but I'm telling you that it is because I fully faced my fear of aloneness that I will be able to sustain a beautiful lifelong relationship when God decides that it's time for me to do so. I will not be projecting all of my happiness onto another person. I will not be projecting the, are you my soulmate? Are you my soulmate? Are you my soulmate onto every guy I meet? The level of discernment and relaxation and peace that I feel around the whole topic of romantic relationship is something that I cannot tell you how good it feels when you come from where I used to come from, which was that deep, deep egoic craving that seemed to never leave me alone when I was single. And also led me to some dissatisfying relationships when I was partnered. So I hope that this serves someone to hear this story. I pray that the stones drop from your soul. I pray over your life that the love that you seek, you realize is right under your feet. I pray over your life that you realize that you are a creator and that what you are praying for, you will receive, even if it's not in your astrology. You are the co-creator with God. You are here executing God's will, and you are already chosen because you're here. You are already wanted because God wanted you here. So create that intimate connection right here, right now with God, with your present reality. Sink into the present reality, whatever life, whatever position life has you in right now, whether it's a sickness, it's a singleness, it's a divorce, it's single parenting, it's you just lost your job. Like sink in, like feel that there's bliss underneath whatever rock you're standing on now. And when you can feel the bliss in your current reality, that bliss bubble just expands and expands, baby, and life just gets better and better and better. And I promise you, your worthiness is not tied to another person's attention. That's it. That's it. I gotta go. We passed 90 minutes. That's the longest I can talk to myself. I need to go sit in silence now and eat food. So I love you all. Again, I really, really, really hope this just touched at least one person. And blessings to you on your journey. Mwah.